Hey everybody, welcome back to I Told My Wife I'm Paying Bills. This is Slim. I'm Black. And we want to thank y'all for coming back to listen to us again. Sorry about that, everybody. Today we're in a different location, so if you hear a little bit of echo, the reason why we're sounding echo is because where we're at is somewhat similar to the Bat Cave. That's correct. It's dark walls. Nice little echo going on, but hopefully, it'll be sounding good for y'all. And the fact that we're in a place that looks like a bat cave, that actually kind of goes along with our theme here, because today we're going to be talking about injustice. So, talking about Injustice 2, we're talking about the game, and we're talking about the movie. So starting off, Black said he has never seen the Injustice movie. So I was like, okay, dude, you got to see it. Such a good movie, such a good story. And actually, I'm going to give you a little bit elements of the comic book today as well. So I let him know how good of a story it was. You got to check it out. He'd heard about some of it, as y'all heard from the previous episode. And so I went ahead and pestered him till he saw it. So first off, we're going to go ahead and start with some of your thoughts on the actual movie. You did watch it, correct?
I did.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts in just the whole storyline overall to begin with.
Well, I thought the story was pretty good. It was well thought. To see Superman turn like that, being that he's such a good guy. He's a superhero. He's a good guy. He's a babyface, but
He's the Boy Scout.
But he's the Boy.
That's
he's
what everybody calls
Scout.
him.
To see that he would go completely, off the rails it was shocking, and I think it gave you an idea of, okay, well, we see Superman as a Boy Scout. You see him as a really good guy. But to see the other side of what he could be if he wasn't that, if he didn't have those qualities, that's what really kind of shook the core when you're looking at that.
Right. Yeah. So that was what drew me into the story. So I ended up finding out about it, which is really ironic and pretty funny. First time I heard about Injustice, a couple years ago, a coworker was actually playing the mobile game at work. He was just letting it play, and I was like, "Yo, what is that?" And he was like, "It's Injustice." And I was like, "Oh, I've never heard of that," And then so I had looked into it, saw it was a pretty cool game. Didn't think anything else of it, and then for years I didn't really pay attention to it. And then a friend of mine, I think, got it for me for a gift, the actual Injustice 2 game for Christmas. And I was like, oh, that's that game the other guy was playing. And I didn't know anything about the story. I just knew that it was, okay, Injustice. It had Batman on the front with, and the other one. I think it had the pictures Supergirl and Superman, and they just look really grim. So I was trying to understand it and popped the game in. And once I saw, like, Superman had flipped the way he was, I was like, okay, what is this story about? I had to do a little bit of research and found out the story in the comic, but everything is actually based off of the game. The game came first, then the comic, and the movie just came out in 2021.
Now, that's a good bit of information right there, because I always thought the game came from the comic, but in Injustice case, it was the game first. Yeah, that's interesting.
The original game is called Injustice: Gods Among Us, and then the comic book series is basically a prequel to the actual game. So that whole prequel, it has different issues, year 0 through year 5. Then it has a companion series, Ground Zero, and then Injustice 2. And then they have like a little crossover with Masters Universe, which is, I haven't read that one yet, but it's interesting sound. He-Man's supposed to be, they're going to be fighting He-Man, so that's going to be pretty funny. I'm probably going to read that. I really would love to get all of the issues together in one book. I just haven't done the research to look for it yet. But if I can't find it, I'm going to get as many as I can all together, just to see. But it is such a good story. So the story that you saw in the movie, you saw it was. Okay, wait. Before we go any further, if you're listening, it's 5 minutes in. There's going to be crazy amount of spoilers. I will try and see how many minutes it takes before we get to the next, till we stop the spoilers. But however, if you haven't seen the movie, if you haven't read the comic books, if you haven't played the game, this is your spoiler warning right now. So either skip the episode, skip over. I really don't want you to skip the episode because it's really good. I'd rather you pause, play the game, read the comic, watch the movie. Watch the movie. That's probably the fastest way. Do one of those and then come back to the episode so you can hear our thoughts. All right. So going back now. The whole thing in the movie, it starts off, Superman is laying in bed and he's trying to listen around the whole city. Of course, you know, Superman, super hearing. Mm-hmm. He's listening to the whole city and he's just, you know, listening for crime, just listening all around different stuff, any kind of major events that he needs to go out for. Mm. And all of a sudden he listens to Lois and he hears a second heartbeat. Mm-hmm. Superman found out before even Lois knew that they had a child. They had a baby. And, you know, he freaks out. He gets so happy. And it leads to a favorite scene of mine, but I'll tell you that in a second. But Superman, he gets all happy and everything like that. And, you know, he starts talking about, oh, yeah, the baby's got to go to this college and this type of school. And I really want the baby to go to high school in Smallville. And, oh, my gosh, but what about this? Because I want them to grow up to be this and that. You know, and Lois was like, look, we're just going to live our lives regularly. That's cool. Mm. The reason why that scene is so important to me is because later on you see Lois is Superman's grounding force. Mm-hmm. And that actually is a theme throughout a lot of comic book series, a lot of movies and stuff. As a matter of fact, in Justice League movie, you see when Batman says bring in the big guns, they go get Lois. Lois, yep. and Lois calms him down, and then he flies off with her. But that's kind of a point that goes throughout the comics. Lois keeps his humanity for him. You know, she's the one thing that links him, even though he does have, well, depending on which version that you look at, he does have Ma or Pa Kent. He has the grounding for growing up in Smallville. You see that Lois is the one thing that's really keeping him anchored the most to humanity. Yep. So seeing that, you know, and like I said, I'll get to one of my favorite moments. I can do that in highlights. What are your thoughts as far as that goes? You know, coming up now, you see Superman and Lois's relationship.
You know, I actually, you know, because like I said before, I haven't, you know, kept up with comic books as much as you have, Slim. But I would say this much: it was very real, you know, because most of us, you know, in real life, our wives are what can really keep us, you know, grounded.
That's very true.
You know, when things get a little tense, or we get a little heated or angry about something, you know, it's usually your wife to kind of like calm you down. That's be like, true. Okay, you got to thinking on a different level. Yeah. You know, they can calm you, and I felt like that was so real. Yeah. You know.
Exactly.
So that's my thoughts on that. That they made it extremely genuine and authentic when it comes to human being relationships. Yeah. You know. And
I that's something I really actually liked, the love that you saw between the two of them, and even though this being is like, you know, an all-encompassing force that can't be stopped. Lois is that wall, you know. It's like, what's that saying? It's like unstoppable force, immovable object.
Yep.
There you go. You know, but once she's taken out, which, you know, that's coming a little bit later. When she's taken out, that's amazing to see how much of the freight train she was holding back by just being in his atmosphere. Yep. You know, so going back, what I was saying about one of my favorite scenes is the Batman dynamic. Of course, everyone knows I'm a Batman fan. Y'all can say what you want. I've loved Batman since I was a little kid. Superman goes to tell Batman, and he hears Batman in his city, so he also goes to find out actually why Batman is in the city, and he helps Batman with some criminals. Batman says, "Hey, Joker's here. I'm just doing some investigation. I'll be out of your city as soon as I catch the Joker." So Superman's like, "All right, cool, whatever. But I got to tell you something. It's pretty cool." And then Batman just takes like a half a second look at Superman over his shoulder, half a second look at Superman, looks back at the criminal. He goes, "Lois is pregnant." And then Superman's like, "Well, how do you know?" He's like, Batman, he's like, "You fought Doomsday." He's like, without even shaking. He's like, "But right now your hands are shaking and you're smirking like an idiot." So it's just hilarious. But either way, that's a big important element in the movie that is like kind of crazy, because that's kind of like a little bit of a foreshadowing. He said Joker's in Metropolis. What's he doing in Metropolis? Why? And you don't really know until the big event happens.
Yep.
So Joker's in Metropolis. He's there because he's tired of playing with Batman. Everyone knows the story. He does something. Batman catches him before he does anything big. Batman sends him to Arkham Asylum.
Yep.
And it just keeps happening. He breaks out. The same cycle happens over again. That's a story that a lot of people is wondering, okay, is Batman contributing to a lot of the bad that's going on because he lets Joker live? He keeps letting Joker escape from all these Arkham Asylum, different stuff, things like that. So many people have said a lot of different stuff about that, but that's just part of the whole story. Batman can't kill. Superheroes aren't supposed to kill. That's something that's also important. So either way, Joker's in Metropolis. They're both trying to wonder why, and come to find out, Joker has stolen some kryptonite from Metropolis that was being researched. And Batman was like, "You're an idiot. Why?" He's talking to the people at Star Labs. "Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why are you experimenting with kryptonite?" And they was like, what could we do? It's like we're just trying to see what kind of other properties it has. It's an element. We're scientists,
right?
We weren't trying to hurt Superman. We were just trying to see what we could do. So either way, all that happens, and in the movie they show it. I can't remember in the comic book if they show it, but Lois and Jimmy are out on a story trying to find out what's going on with this whole there's like some kind of deal going on, and they're wondering why they're there. And the whole time she's there, she's just like, something's weird, something's really odd that's going on. Next thing you know, Joker comes out
of nowhere,
shoots Jimmy. And here's another thing about this movie: a lot of DC comics before didn't have as much killing. This movie has a lot of killing in it.
Yeah, like it ain't nothing.
Crazy. It's crazy how much killing it is.
Very graphic.
Yeah. So Joker comes out, kills Jimmy like that, and like right through the camera lens, right through his head. It's actually a pretty good scene, gruesome scene, but it was just like, man, knocks Lois out, kidnaps Lois. Once Lois is kidnapped, Superman figures it out because he finds Jimmy. He ends up coming up to the scene later, finds Jimmy, and then he freaks out, goes and tells Batman. Batman is like, "Oh crap!" He calls in the whole Justice League, priority call. Everyone's on, all hands on deck.
Yep.
So they go and they find him. They find the Joker's in the sub, underwater. Superman picks up the sub and goes into the sub. Does not pay attention. This is the key thing that got me, that I don't understand, and I want to find out your thoughts about that in a second.
I know where you're going.
He walks in and does not see that the whole sub is filled with gas. Now, to me, I would be like, but then again, though, he wasn't thinking too.
Yeah.
But
there's the human element right there.
Yeah, the whole place is full of gas, And then he walks in and he just talks to the Joker. He's like, "Where's Lois?" And then they just like this. Next thing you know, Doomsday stands up out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And Superman just instantly takes off, starts fighting Doomsday. Mm-hmm. And of course, once he takes off, the Joker and Harley try to escape. I'm going to start paraphrasing here, but this is kind of key to the rest of the story here. Joker and Harley start escaping, try to escape. Rest of Justice League catch them. They ask, "Where's Lois?" And then he was like, I forgot what the Joker said exactly, but he basically told Batman Superman's fighting Lois. Batman had to tell him, "Yo, chill out." He told Superman, called him on the comms, "Chill out. What you're seeing isn't real."
Real, yep.
And come to find out, once Superman hears that, he stops and then he realizes it's Lois, and he sits there, and he's in outer space with her.
Yep.
And
she has no protection and
nothing. And all of a sudden, you just hear her heartbeat stop and the baby's heartbeat stop. Yep. That was such a sad moment.
Yeah.
So tell me your thoughts on the whole submarine scene, because that scene right there, that is key, and that is exactly in that scene, which is also a similar scene. They have similar elements of it. Actually, even with the whole Green Lantern grabbing Harley and Joker and everything as well. That's actually in the comic book as well. I cannot remember in the game. I went over the game. The game I saw a long time ago, but the comic is more fresh in my mind. So tell me your thoughts on the actual submarine scene.
Oh man, it was intense. I would tell you this much. The moment Superman found out, Joker was on the sub, he didn't waste no time. Mm-hmm. He wasted no time to go and retrieve the submarine. He picks the submarine out the ocean, puts it on land, busts through there, and this, like we talked about before, this particular scene is important because there's that human element again. Mm-hmm. Somebody kidnap the woman you love or your wife. You're not thinking rationally.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
so there's the human element right there. He's not thinking rationally. He's just, Lois is in trouble. The Joker, this maniac, has her. Mm-hmm. I don't know what he's gonna do. I need to get to her.
Yeah.
So he's busted in. He's not even looking at his surroundings. Mm-hmm. Busts in, and he sees Doomsday. Mm-hmm. Doesn't realize there's gas.
Yeah.
So the whole scene to me is really intense. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very sad because you see Superman earlier and he's so happy. He finds out he's having a baby. Yes. And then both of them die in outer space. Right. And then he doesn't know, spoiler alert again, just letting you ladies and gentlemen know that Lois also has a device hooked to her heart. Mm-hmm. And when that device flatlines,
a dead man switch.
Yeah, it's a dead man switch. Exactly. Once that flatlines, the whole Metropolis City is connected to that nuclear bomb that they stole.
Yeah.
And
so that's
a part that we're going to talk about a little bit.
Yeah. So I was actually going to get to that next because it's funny because in the movie, he says when he scans the sub, Superman says, "I found them. I see them underwater." He's like, "One of the nuclear warheads are missing." Mm-hmm. And that's exactly just like a throwaway comment until you see what happens next. He picks them up, because they actually said when they find out where it was, I think it's Wonder Woman who finds from the thugs or whatever. She's like, Superman, they left Metropolis. They're in a sub heading whichever way. Superman finds them, puts them on land. You think that he found them somewhere near Metropolis. And it was very near Metropolis. I actually, when I first saw it, I thought they were in Metropolis, but they weren't. So, as soon as that happens, as soon as Lois dies, that dead man switch triggers.
Yep.
And you just see Metropolis, a nuclear explosion, just go off.
And they don't spare any detail. At all.
Oh
when that thing, they just don't show a city exploding. They show people being evaporated.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
I was like, oh my gosh, all you see is just the people turning to ash.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they like the buildings and stuff.
Yep.
Superman comes down out of the atmosphere with Lois in his arms in the middle of the crater at ground zero in that crater. And he's just so distraught. And I think you actually you witness, and they did a decent job. I want to say pretty good, but I would have liked to see just a little bit more emotion on his face. But they still did a pretty decent job of his facial expressions, where you can actually see the exact moment Superman breaks. And when you see that, he took his city away from him. He took his wife and his child away from him. Do you see that? That is just that's almost like you see the foreshadowing for the rest of the movie right at that point. And that leads us to the next part where we're talking about is where Superman has his first, well, technically his second kill, but his first purposeful kill. This is the first time that he actually went to someone to kill them. Finds Joker. Batman took Joker to Arkham Asylum.
Now remember. Now, if you remember, yeah, he took him to Arkham Asylum. But you remember the conversation they were having prior to Superman showing up.
Yes.
You
go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit.
Remember the conversation they had.
Yeah.
He said he asked Joker why of all people, why him. That's what Batman asked Joker, and Joker was like, every single time I'm losing to you. And Joker's whole purpose, he doesn't really have a purpose. If you know the character Joker, he doesn't have a purpose. He never has a plan. He has a plan, but he doesn't have a plan. All he wants to see is chaos.
Yeah.
And he wants to see the incorruptible corrupted.
Yeah.
And that's really what his goal was.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to corrupt. I can't corrupt you. He always loses to Batman. He cannot corrupt him.
Yeah.
And that's that. To answer the question that we asked, earlier on, why is the Batman just keep letting them, keep putting them in there and just keep letting them out, keep putting them in, because he cannot be corrupted. He won't be corrupted. So Joker, he's not going to kill him. The only thing he can do is imprison him and hope that it stays. He just never does.
Yeah. So that was another powerful scene, like he said, and that conversation is so important because Batman is trying to understand, but that also shows one of Batman's flaws as well as, one of his strengths. Because, he can't be corrupted, but because of that, because he kept letting the Joker get through, Joker keeps doing more and more bad.
Yep.
And just trying to get Batman to twitch. It's just like, I just want to win. I want to see you do something that is against your general nature.
That's right.
Well, he messed up because he did that to Superman, and he just went on a grand scale to break Superman, and Superman was completely just torn apart.
Yeah.
Shook the building. When he was coming towards that building, shook the building, did all that, and all of a sudden, you just see him break through the walls. One of the dumbest things the Jokers could have done was start laughing. And all they focused on the way he was laughing in his face too.
Yep. But Joker knew but that's the thing. Joker knew that's what Joker wanted. Joker never cares about living.
Yeah.
He has no intention of even extending his life. He just wants to see chaos. And once Superman broke through that wall and he saw Superman, he started laughing because he knew he won.
Yeah.
He knew he won.
And that was pretty amazing to see happen, because then, it just seemed like all of a sudden that part where they show him laughing, that was another breaking point for Superman. That's when Superman was like, this dude does not need to remain. Yeah. And Superman just in a flash, and oh, by the way, in the flash, that's something else. I'll get back to that flash part later. Just try to remind me. In a flash, you see Superman just put his fist right through the Joker.
Yep.
Completely through the Joker. I think in the comic book, I have to go back and look. I'll pull the scene up real quick. But in the comic book, Superman, I think his heart is actually shown kind of like, Mortal Kombat style.
Yeah. In the movie, all you see is his fist is all the way through Joker's chest, extending out to the back.
Yeah.
And
so that happens, and so you don't see that in the comic book. Is different because when he does kill the Joker, it's open handed though. So that's why I thought his heart was coming through. But he just put his hands through him completely, and it's a pretty gruesome scene. But through the whole thing, the Joker's smiling, and not just because it's a Joker smile. No, the Joker smiles because he's getting what he wants.
Right.
And
finally,
yes,
when it comes to it, and he knew, that okay, well, I can't corrupt you, Batman, but everybody's not like you.
Yeah. So, we're gonna fast forward a little bit here, but for the most part, that is important because that sets the tone for the rest of the movie. And in the game, I never played part 1, but in the game, that's the storyline. The game and the comics have a little bit different stories. I'm going to bring up some of the things that is a little bit different, but seeing different things of how Superman was flipped that way, that just sets the tone, and you see everything. You see he has no more reasons to do anything right,
Nope.
So causes Superman to turn the whole world into a police state. He starts getting rid of all the nuclear weapons, going to world leaders and telling the world leaders, "Hey, you're not fighting anymore. That's it. That's done. That's done." And he goes to United Nations and actually tells everybody, "Hey, I'm Clark Kent. This is what's going to be for right now. You really think I'm Superman, but I'm really Clark Kent, and my wife and child have died today. I'm done with this. No one's allowed to fight anymore. That's it." Goes to UN and says this, and the United States think, "Oh, well, he's on our side, so it doesn't matter. That doesn't apply to us." No. That applies to them as well.
Everybody.
You're right. And when he goes and tells the president that, president is like, "Yeah, okay, whatever. You're out of control. I'm going to do whatever I can to control you." Kidnaps his dad.
Why did he do that?
And that was dumb.
Yeah.
That was dumb. And so Superman, that even sends Superman even crazier. Now, because his dad was kidnapped, once he rescues his dad, he takes his dad to the Fortress of Solitude. That's important for later, too. So, either way, throughout all this, you see all the different superheroes taking sides, taking different factions in the movie. And I keep saying in the movie because the movie and the game is slightly different from different stuff. So, you see him taking... you see the different superheroes taking sides, and Superman is basically like, "Look, it's my way or the highway. I'm changing the world because I'm sick of this. No one needs to die unnecessarily." Well, Batman is like, "No, we're not the police." He's like, "People are afraid of you," and Superman's like, "They're supposed to be." He's like, "They should be because I need this world to be a better world." He's like, "I lost everything because this world sucked. I'm changing it. This is my way. I'm doing it." Of course, Wonder Woman sides with him because Wonder Woman, for the most part, is a killer. She was trained to kill her. When she came over to America, United States, they capped her killing instinct. But Amazons are trained to kill. So Wonder Woman was like, "Yeah, F yeah, this is it. I'm ready to do that."
Yeah. And let's not forget about her secret. She's always had a secret, hidden, love for Superman.
Correct.
And that was shown. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but that was shown as well.
So what's funny about that too is in a couple of different books they have a couple of different ways. They've had Superman with Wonder Woman on the side. They had Batman and Wonder Woman. In Justice League they actually had it as Batman and Wonder Woman. And a couple other animated series they had Superman and Wonder Woman.
Oh wow!
So it's pretty funny, but to see that element of that she had a thing for Superman in that one, it's like, okay, I can see that now. So she tries to comfort him and everything like that. But either way, she's just like, okay, we're going to go and do this Superman's way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, she totally sides with Superman on this.
yeah, and that's
surprisingly so. Because,
yeah.
She's Wonder Woman. You would think she was a little bit more rational.
Correct. So, but no, okay. So you say that, but I'm still thinking, okay, she is rational. Because she's a soldier, and she's trained, and that's why I say she's a trained killer. Yeah. The Amazons are just straight soldiers, and so That doesn't surprise me. That, if anything, that would have been the first, just from what I read. And I understand you haven't read the comics. You don't read, you don't know a lot of the comics. So I can understand that. But just seeing that, it didn't surprise me. And so either way, Wonder Woman, she was sides with him. Cyborg sides with him. That surprised me a little bit. And I forgot who else sided with him. I have to look, but
Cyborg, I believe, and we'll get to it in this particular scene later on. But Robin sides with him as well.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and we'll have to go with the different types of Robins. But Green Lantern tried to stop him, and Superman just straight took the ring off of him, and was just like, "You don't need this anymore. You're not stopping me from doing what I'm doing."
Yep.
So
that was great. He did it so fast. It was like a magician.
Yeah, it was like But then again, he's so fast.
Yeah.
So
he's fast.
getting back to the Flash. I don't know which side he would have been on, but the Flash was killed earlier on because he tried to help find Lois, and in doing so, he was killed in the Scarecrow's lab.
Yep.
Joker killed Scarecrow, set up a trap for anybody who tries to find the Scarecrow, and he ended up dying in the movie.
Yep.
So that was crazy. But the different ones who sided with him, and then you had, of course, Batman. His regular crew actually sided with Batman's side. You had I think Huntress was there, Green Arrow was there, different ones there. And his son was there. So the Robin of this age is actually Damian Wayne, Batman's son. Batman and Talia al Ghul. And so his son is there, and Nightwing is his adopted son, Dick Grayson. Everyone who's a comic fan knows that.
Yep.
Well, there's a really good scene in there where Superman comes into the Batcave, and when he comes into the Batcave, Nightwing and Damian Wayne are training, and Nightwing, of course, is Nightwing. He's the best. He's probably a better superhero. He's not the best Robin. The best Robin, that's another debate I'll go through probably with a whole bunch of geeks. I'll explain that to you later. But he's not the best Robin, but he is the best out of the Bat family. He has all of Batman's skills, but minus a lot of Batman's faults. Even though he and Batman have the same thing where they both lost their parents because of someone evil, he doesn't have a lot of Batman's faults. He has a little bit more humanity than Batman has. Possibly because of the way he was raised by Batman, instead of Batman just being raised by Alfred. Which I'm a little upset Alfred was missing in there, because there's a great scene in the comic with Alfred when Superman comes into the Batcave. And I want to talk about that later. Superman comes in, talks to Batman, kind of looks at his hands and stuff like that, whatever. That scene now, did you think that scene was important with the two, with Nightwing and Robin? Tell me what you think about that scene. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The scene where they're training, and Nightwing, is kind of like schooling them. He's literally schooling them, And of course, Robin is getting frustrated. He's getting all pissed off because he's getting his, he's really getting it. Nightwing is literally beating the crap out of him. He's just angry. So, and Nightwing is trying to school him. He's saying, "Hey, look, this is what you need to do in case." He's explaining it to him, but Robin does not. He's young, and he doesn't want to listen to Nightwing. And he feels like Nightwing is just Batman's. I think, and there's an element in there where I feel like Robin is a little jealous of Nightwing.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that particularly plays a role in his decision making as well. As far as teaming up with Superman.
Yeah. And getting to that, the team up. So yes, in that scene, Robin, like he says, is frustrated, and he throws a baton at Nightwing's head.
Yep.
And he's also, of course, well, Nightwing catches that baton, by the way. Okay,
Yeah.
so that, like I said, that's important, but that's also important for later on in the movie. So, they leave, like I said, Superman, they talk about all this and everything like that. Well, before they leave to go off, because they hear Superman is raiding Arkham Asylum, before they leave to go off, Robin's like, man, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to save the criminals instead of the heroes?
Yeah.
You care more about the criminals than you care about regular people. And Batman was like, it's not a matter of caring about the criminals, it's a matter of humanity. And that's what he says. He, not in those words, but Batman actually just looks at him, really. But good point. But he knows the point.
Yeah, because he looks at him that way because he would think that Robin wouldn't understand by now.
Everything he taught him, you should understand.
Yeah.
Right. So, jumping ahead a little bit, they do go off to Arkham. They try to save the prisoners, and they get into this huge fight because Harley, who was with Green Arrow, she lets all of the prisoners go.
Yep.
So we're going to come back to Harley in a second, but this is important because it goes back to our Robin story now. And we're sorry for jumping around, but there's so many different thoughts on this because of the way the movie was put together.
Exactly.
She lets all the criminals go to attack. So for the time being, the two different factions team up, and they beat the crap out of the criminals, get them all back in their cells. But amongst all the fighting, of course, that same little squabble that just happened in the Batcave happens in the middle of the fight, and the same thing. Robin throws the baton at Nightwing's head, and boom, knocks him right in the temple, just right. So it hits him in the side and kills him.
Yeah.
And again,
Instantly
people,
kills him.
spoilers. I'm so sorry, but there's so many spoilers in here. But yes, it kills him. And they continue the whole thing. And after basically he dies, that's when Superman just ends the fight. And he was like, everybody back to your cells now. They get back to their cells and they look at Nightwing. And that is when you see Batman's emotion.
Yeah.
Because even though Damien is his blood son, Dick Grayson is the son that Batman raised.
Yep.
And that was his son. And he was just like, he basically told Robin, I'm done with you. He said, I thought I could change you, but I couldn't. Yeah. And that was part of the decision that led to Superman, to Damian Wayne, Robin joining Superman. So,
and it's not like Robin wasn't sympathetic. Of course, he didn't mean to do it. He was tired of taking his, listen to him and his advice. But I think you saw an element in there where Robin was like, I didn't mean to do it.
And he said that. He actually says, he always catches it. I expected him to catch it.
Yeah. And I think when Batman, all Batman, you see there was a part in there where he was like, get away from him. He was telling Robin, get away from him.
Right.
Get away from him. So you could imagine how that made his own son feel.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, it's like all I'm doing is I'm just trying to help out, but you just don't want me to help out. It's like, no, it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of you didn't care. You were careless, and you didn't want anything. All that jealousy that you held and resentment you held toward Dick Grayson came out in that one single moment.
That's all it took,
and it messed everything up. So we're getting back to Harley now.
Yep. So Harley, Hero Harley, as we call her now. That was I think as grim as the movie was, with all the dramatic scenes. I think, that was kind of like, Hero Harley was kind of like the bright spot. When I say bright spot, it was comical. Because the fact that, she's devastated because of Joker's death. She can't be Harley Quinn anymore. Yeah. So she chose to become Hero Harley.
Yes.
And the fact that she's teamed up with Green Arrow is just hilarious all in itself because he's constantly during her transition he's constantly knocking her out to make sure she don't do that great.
And you know what? I loved about those scenes? It's like he's like hitting her with that knockout gas, and every time she goes, "You suck," and she just every time he knocks her out, right before she passes out, she says something derogatory to him, which is really funny.
It was just really funny.
It was hilarious.
We just wanted to notate this, ladies and gentlemen, because it was such a funny part in the movie. The fact that she became Hero Harley.
Yes, yeah. So that's one thing that does happen in the comics as well. Green Arrow basically rescues Harley from Superman because they know if Superman catches Harley, he's going to basically do the same thing to her that he did to the Joker.
Yep, he's going to kill her.
And through that, he takes her down to the Arrow Cave, which Harley renamed the Quiver.
Yeah, the Quiver.
Like,
and
that conversation was so good.
Yeah,
it was hilarious.
That conversation was such a good conversation because here is Green Arrow talking to somebody that he's literally beefed with, for the longest time.
Right.
In the Justice League, taking on Joker and Harley Quinn, and he allows her to rename his.
Well, technically, he didn't he didn't officially allow
it, but he didn't allow it, but he
basically did.
He was like, wait a minute, you know what? That does sound pretty good.
yes.
That was funny.
Yeah,
that was funny.
And when he did that, he was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." He never actually officially says it, but later on, when they're driving to Arkham Asylum to help out with the criminals, that Batman was like, "Everybody get to Arkham Asylum because Superman's trying to take the criminals somewhere." He's talking to Batman, and then he goes, "Yeah, we need to talk about you bugging the Quiver." And then Harley just pops out of nowhere. "You said the name." I was like, so basically he officially said, "Yes, it's going to be the Quiver." So everyone, we can call the Arrow Cave now the Quiver. So that's hilarious.
That was pretty funny right there.
Yeah. So that aspect of it though is pretty hilarious, and I love the lighthearted aspect that this movie had.
Yep.
They took the Joker out, but they left Harley in, and I honestly think Harley is funnier than Joker anyway.
Yeah.
The Joker is he does some funny stuff depending on like which issues you read, or which movies you see, which animated movies you see. Joker does some really funny stuff.
Yeah, he does.
But Harley throughout, and Harley Quinn. This is a little trivia. Harley Quinn was actually created for Batman the Animated Series. Right. And we're going to take a break shortly and break off and break this into two podcasts. So, but I want to say something about Batman the Animated Series in a second. Harley was created for Batman the Animated Series. And once she was created for that, they put her into the episode, I believe, was called Mad Love. But they had this comic called Mad Love. And that was her first transition into comics. And after that, she just became this massive, like, people loved her because of her, like she was just whimsical, free, fun, but psycho, crazy. But she became so important that they gave her own spin-off series. She has her own comics. There was a Harley and Ivy, and like there's massive Harley cosplays. Now she's in the Suicide Squad movies. She's in the Suicide Squad, and like the different animated Suicide Squad movies she's just so massive because she's such a good character that she can't be left out from any of the DC comic stuff now. And I would love to see if they take her character anywhere else, because she's so good. She's such a good character.
Yeah, and she's such a good character in the sense that not only was she good for the Joker, but she was actually good for, think about it now she's Hero Harley, and she's just as funny as she was. She didn't change. She's still just
she
as funny
just she just found a different purpose.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we're gonna break this off right here to part 2 of this, and we'll go ahead and get back on and get to the rest of this, because after Arkham Asylum, some stuff really gets real. And in the next episode, we're going to put a little bit of our thoughts on the actual gameplay of the game, and we're going to talk about. I'm going to tell you some things about that we're missing out in the comics that I want, and just a little bit of our other thoughts of different things that are going in about the movie and the game. Before we go, I want to say one thing. We found out this week, I don't know if you heard, Kevin Conroy passed away this week from cancer. Kevin Conroy is pretty much the Batman that you hear in almost every game. I think in Arkham Asylum, not Arkham Asylum. I think in this game, he is also the voice in this one.
I think he's the voice.
Yeah, but he's in the voice in so many different Batman games, and it's pretty sad because basically for millions of people all around the world, when you start reading, since he started with Batman, the animated series, and since he was a much, like, not that big, but he was a big actor before that, and he started out, for us, I should say, a lot more people got more well known through Batman animated series. Anyway, for me, for millions of geeks around there, people who read the comics, he's the voice that we hear when we read and hear Batman. And I mean, to this day, still, when I read a Batman comic, I hear Kevin Conroy's voice. I get disappointed because, even in this movie, it wasn't Kevin Conroy who played Batman. The actor was good; it was good Batman. Mm-hmm. But for years, since 92, I think it was 1992, he has been playing Batman. And I just want to say, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. I'm hurt, devastated as much as I was when I found out that Adam West passed away. We're losing our heroes. But he has a very well-deserved rest. He did such a massive amount of work, and I will forever be, grateful for the work that Kevin Conroy did. It was so good. So again, please continue on to the next episode, everyone. Thanks for listening, and just going off, getting ready to sign off. This is Slim.
This is Black.
Saying happy watching, and hopefully y'all see us on the next episode. Thanks.